Hey Galaxians, welcome to another episode of Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips. If you're new to the channel, my name is Ryan and I'm coming to you from the Bat Cave. I'm a full-time reseller working out of my home here in the greater Cincinnati area, and this channel is all about the flip game. I'll talk about the things I'm buying, the things I'm selling, we'll recap some of what's going on here, and we'll try to touch on some relevant reselling topics. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about thank you notes in your shipments. I really would be interested in some feedback of whether you do them or don't, and we'll get into all that in a minute. But as with most of these videos, I want to start it with a quick what's sold recap. I've got, I think, 7 items for you that have sold since my last video. This first item came from the Cincinnati Picker lot from a couple of weeks ago. I'll put a link to that video up above. And it is a Kitty Kaelin 10-inch 78 record from probably the 40s. It sold for $19.99 with free shipping. I own it for about 58 cents, so fairly nice flip. These old records, I've talked about them before. A lot of times you find them and they're in the garage or they're in a shed and they're not in any kind of sleeve. They've been rubbing against each other and they're covered with dirt. And they're really hard to sell online. The few I picked up there and a batch I picked up at another sale were really, really clean, so I felt comfortable grading these and offering them online. A lot of times I don't buy them at all because I don't have any way to really get them super clean and evaluate the condition properly, so I end up passing on them. But these were in great shape and they're bringing pretty good money, and I'm selling them relatively quickly. There's probably 2 or 3 a week of these that are going out. This Sony Smart TV remote control, I just picked this up last Saturday. It was in a plastic baggie, but it didn't look like it was the original Sony packing. So I went ahead and opened it up, put some batteries in it, and tested it to make sure that it worked. And I got it for $1, and it sold for $19.99 plus shipping. Quick and easy, had it less than a week. I think I sold it within 2 days of listing it for full price. So that was a pretty nice flip. For shipping on those, I usually just wrap them really, really well in bubble wrap and then put that inside of a bubble mailer. I've not had any problems with that. If I had like a long, thin, small box, I might ship them in boxes just to be extra careful. But I didn't really have anything like that on hand, so it went out in a bubble mailer. If you sell those kind of things, what do you ship them out in? Just curious how other people ship small electronics and remotes and things like that. Let me know down in the comments. This next item is a lot of paperbacks. It's the first 7 of the Kent Family Chronicles. These were written by John Jakes. They're not in really good shape. Obviously well read. A lot of creasing in the spines, but the pages were all relatively intact. I picked up the whole set for $2.50. Listed it for $21.99 with free shipping, and somebody bought it within about 10 days. This next item was really interesting. It is a sales promotion, kind of a training manual from 1906. I actually kind of flipped through this because I've been in and around sales for most of my adult life in some form or other, either in retail or working in auto sales. So it was really interesting to see that a lot of the concepts and techniques haven't really changed much in over 100 years. A lot of the stuff could have been out of a sales manual that was written last week. It was really interesting. The book was not in really good shape. The cover on the spine was completely missing. This is probably a $50 book if it was in better condition. I listed it for $29.99 or best offer. Within 2 or 3 days, I got a best offer of $25.49 plus shipping. So I went ahead and took that and sent it on its way. This next item is another of the Bibles I picked up. This is probably coming up on a month now. I picked up a whole stack for 50 cents a piece at a estate sale. I've sold through most of them now. This is kind of the last of that batch. Nothing particularly special about it. 1997 New American Standard Edition. Probably the only thing that was unusual is that it was green bonded leather. Most Bibles, for whatever reason that you see, are either the kind of burgundy or black. This was a really dark green. It almost looks black in the photo, but it is green. So I don't know if that's what kind of attracted someone to it, but $27.99 with free shipping on an item I've got for 50 cents. I will take that all day long. Some more books. This is from a lot that I picked up probably 2 months ago. This was a Facebook Marketplace find. Someone had boxes of books. I think it ended up being somewhere between 150 and 180 books. I picked them up for 50 bucks. So not quite 50 cents a piece in them, I guess. A lot of them were not really very good. There was a lot of old kind of historical fiction, no dust jackets. They had been exposed to smokes. It wasn't my best buy ever, but this sale almost by itself paid for that entire lot, so that was pretty good. This is the Philip Jose Farmer. It's the first 5 volumes of the Riverworld series. These were book club editions. They did have their dust jackets, so it was a really unusual collection. I don't think there were any others like this listed on eBay. There were some of the books individually, or maybe somebody had 2 or 3 of them, but I don't think there were any other listings for the first 5. I had them listed for $49.99 or best offer. I got an offer of $40 plus shipping. Since I own them for such a little amount, I went ahead and took that offer, and those went out this morning. And then this last item is yet again another Bible. The reason I'm showing you this one, for whatever reason, anything that's associated with the Jimmy Swaggart Ministries does really, really well, brings good money. This one was put together, actually, it looks like by his son, but it's part of the overarching Jimmy Swaggart Ministries thing. It was the Crossfire Edition of the Expositor's Study Bible. $54.99 free shipping. I own it for nothing. I was at a sale. This was about 3 weeks ago, and there were a stack of Bibles. Most of them were in just terrible condition. Extensive note taking. The cover was ripped off of one. Just really, really rough. This one was new in the cellophane, brand new in a package. So I'm looking through these, and the person who's having the garage sale says all the Bibles are free. I probably should have just gone ahead and grabbed all of them, but I didn't think there was much resale value in the ones that were pretty torn up. So I just took this one, and I looked it up while I was there, and I knew it was going to bring $50+. And I asked, before I left, I said, "Are you sure this is free?" And she said, "Yes, the Bibles are free." I've run into that a couple of times at sales where I don't know if it's the good Christian heart or what the story is behind that, but a lot of times people are just giving Bibles away. I don't know what the original retail value of this was, but this is the second one of these I've had and sold, and both of them went for about $55 free shipping. And in the 2 of them, I probably don't have $1 invested, so really, really nice flip. So that kind of recaps the last 2.5 odd days of sales here at the Galaxy. So it's been pretty productive. Tuesday morning was a little suspect. I really didn't do much, but yesterday afternoon and the overnight hours were really, really strong. That's actually where most of this came from. This is in the last kind of 12 hours, so things have been pretty good. I did want to talk a little bit about thank you notes, thank you cards in your eBay shipments, and I'd really appreciate comments from any of the resellers that happen to see this. Do you include any kind of note or packing slip or invoice or anything in your shipments, or do you just send the stuff out? When I first got started, I was sending packing slips, and it quickly became obvious that I was going to go through a lot of paper and a lot of ink if I did that, selling 10 or 15 items a day. I just didn't, that quickly fell by the wayside. But I did want to do something to kind of personalize my shipments. I know I watch Shed Flips, if you're familiar with that. Lonnie, I think he's down in Louisiana, his channel. He almost always includes just a post-it note with a quick thank you and the name of the person that bought it if it's available, especially if it's from a YouTube viewer. He's got a pretty big channel. But what I decided to do was to have some of these cards made up, and I'll put another picture up, not over there, there's not any room, over here. But I got these printed. It's a two-sided card, and on the front, it just says thank you for your purchase, and it kind of has the same graphic that you would see on my YouTube channel and the header of my eBay page. So I'm kind of consistent throughout. I think I'm even using that on my Teespring page for all my merch. Shameless self-promotion plug for the Teespring stuff. So I've got consistent imagery kind of throughout my chain. On the back, I just have my logo, I have my email address, I have the links to my Instagram and to my YouTube channel, just to try to generate some extra interest in those things as well. And then on each of them, as you can see in the photo, I just write thanks on it, on every one. I can get a box of 1,000 of these for right around $50. Two-sided print on a fairly nice business card stock. 1,000 of them will last me about a quarter, roughly 3 months. So I'm spending a couple $100s a year on these just business cards, and I do use them for other things. If I'm out at an estate sale and there's a big bunch of books or something else that I might be interested in, but not at the price they're asking at the time, I just use it as a business card. It's got my email on it. I'll just give it to them and, maybe put my name on it and say, hey, if you're interested in dumping these at the end of the sale, here's my contact information, give me a shout. And I have actually picked up a couple of big lots that way. So it's not just a thank you card. It serves multiple purposes for me. So in my case, it's worth that $50 investment just to have that kind of multi-function use. I don't know if it's doing me any good putting them in the eBay shipments. I don't know if it sets you apart. I think when most people buy from eBay, they kind of know in their head that they're buying from an individual seller. But I think they're not loyal to a particular seller because the odds of you having more of the thing that they're interested in are not always that high. In my case, I am getting a lot of repeat business on particularly the model railroad magazines that I've shown in some previous videos because I literally have thousands of them. So I've got a couple people that I don't know if it was because they saw them all on my eBay store originally or because I included the card and they went back and looked at my store. But I do have some folks that are buying those kind of on a weekly or every other week basis when they get paid. And I'm kind of seeing the same thing with the science fiction magazines. I've got a couple customers that every week or so they're ordering 2 or 3. I have a large lot of vintage science fiction novels that I have a couple of repeat buyers on that every couple of weeks are ordering some stuff. Again, it's impossible to say if it was because I included that card with a little note and they went back and looked at my store, or if they just happened to discover that on their own when they were looking for those things that I had hundreds, if not thousands of them. But I think for me, it's just a nice added extra kind of professional touch. And it's still a personal because I do take the time to write thanks on each and every one of them. Sometimes I'll even put a note if somebody orders a CD or a record from a band or that I particularly liked. I'll just put on a great album or whatever. And I've actually gotten some notes in the feedback. I shipped out a Sunny Day Real Estate album once and I put a note on it, great album. And the feedback was something to the effect of great seller, also has great taste in music. So that, people are seeing them. Again, let me know in comments. What are you doing them? Do you think you're getting any lift out of it? Do you think it makes sense? Would you spend any money to do those, or is like a post-it note or something like that sufficient for you? Just let me know in comments what you're doing and what you think about what I'm doing. Am I just wasting my money at $50 a quarter getting those printed? Just appreciate a little feedback on that. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll give you a couple of quick programming notes. I've mentioned this before, but most of the content that I do here on YouTube, I do put an audio-only version of it up as a podcast. It's available at anchor.fm or their app. It's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, probably Apple Podcasts as well. So if you're interested in listening at any time to just the audio version of this, those are available. I am going to be starting kind of a dedicated podcast as well, hopefully in the next few weeks. That'll be maybe a little longer form than these videos. So if you're into that kind of thing, keep on the lookout for that. And if you're looking for kind of a centralized hub for all things Galaxy CDs Rocks, I do now also have a website up at galaxycdsrocks.com, where it's kind of the catch-all for all the recent YouTube episodes, all the podcasts, links to some pictures of my old retail store and more. There's all kinds of stuff there. So if you're interested, go check that out as well. There'll be links in the description to all of that, and of course in the About Me page here on YouTube. So with that, I'm going to close. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and spending a little bit of time here in the Batcave with me. I do appreciate each and every view that I get, so thank you again. And with that, it is time to sell. Thanks, guys.